You can't get the last batch.
Put it in speaker mode. Okay.
Yeah, we're
I'm
good.
sure more people will hop on. Okay, here they come. More people are hopping on as we get started. But for most of you guys, I think some of you guys know me. You guys have been here on this call. I recognize a lot of names here. Awesome, awesome. Hey, everybody. And for those of you guys that don't know me, that are brand new or first time on this call started about a year ago, and it's really my attempt at making an impact in people's lives financially.
Did you let in Twilight?
Mm-hmm.
You did let in Twilight?
Yeah. All right, Nick. So this call really came about because there was this one event in which I was at Publix, and I was pretty down at this point in my life. It's about 6 years ago, before I moved down to Florida. I lost my restaurant. I got my car repoed. I lost my house. I came down to Florida with really nothing. And I was living in this 250 square foot, like, utility closet. Literally, my bed came down into the kitchen, and that was it. I had a bed, kitchen, bathroom, and the bed came down right into the kitchen. Like, that's how I was living when I first came down. This was 6 years ago. I was 450K in debt, and my credit score was like a 400. I started working for this company called Gratitude Training. I was making like $1,200 a month, I think was my starting salary. And the guest speaker that I have today, actually, she was my boss at the time, and she really helped me through this transformational process that I was going through, because I knew how to make money. I'm smart, I could make money, but this was really the lowest point where I just didn't really know what to do anymore. I thought I was ahead. I had two restaurants, I had a 3-unit property, and the restaurant was doing $1 million a year. And somehow I blew it all. I didn't have no money for electricity at the end of the year. Nick, this is recorded. Okay, great. And so, yeah, really low time. And of course, I lived next to a Publix. I walked in there one day, and there was I don't know, she had to have been in her 80s, but she was my cashier. And I was like, she's sitting there with 2 casts on. And I'm like, why is she working here? Why is she working here? She couldn't bag my food. I had to bag it myself. So I went and I was bagging the food. I was asking her, I'm like, how long have you been working here? She's like, 11 years. I'm like, 11 years? Like, she's 20 years past retirement age, and she's been working at Publix for 11 years. So for me, Asian cultures, like, the elders are always taken care of. So, like, you never will see that happening. Like, people, like my mom will live with my sister or with me. Like, Asian cultures, you never have your parents working, at Publix or something. I mean, not that Publix is a terrible job, but that's not where she should be anymore. Right. So I was like, man, our society, we live in the most abundant, the wealthiest country in the world, the most powerful country in the world. And we failed our elders. And I felt like a sense of responsibility in that moment. I was like, I was so reckless with my money. What am I demonstrating? What am I teaching? What am I doing out there? Right. So I got real focus. I got real focus in serving and helping people. And I got an opportunity to do this in the gratitude trainings. This was a personal development, transformational training type of thing. And I gave everything I had to it. I was like, I know that what I have to do is I must serve and help people. Abundance is going to come to me, and opportunities will come to me as I open myself and help people in their challenges and their struggles. So I gave everything for like maybe 4 or 5 years. In that time, things were turning around for me. I was letting go of my own limiting beliefs. I was letting go of all the victim stories that I had. Okay, when I lost my restaurant, I blamed a lot of people. And in this training, we talked a lot about going through and getting rid of these, owning it so that you can stand from a powerful place. So fast forward to now, you guys have seen my growth just in the last year. I went from 12 units okay, let's back up a little bit more. In that 6-year time frame, okay, where I was negative $400,000, 400 credit score, how do I get out? And it's in partnerships. It was always in partnerships. The answer is always in partnerships. The answer is always in partnerships and in community. So you guys are a part of this community. You guys are part of this tribe. And being here, you know, don't sit here like what you're gonna get out of us, like myself and the guest speaker that I have today. Don't sit here like do me. I want you guys to sit here like there is information here that you're gonna apply to your life that is gonna drastically change the way you do things, and that in return, it's gonna manifest abundance, and it's gonna manifest your ability to invest, and it always comes in relationships and partnerships. Partnerships was what got me out of the hole. And multifamily, this call is really dedicated to multifamily, but multifamily is partnership. It's all about community. It's all about people coming together to take down something that's bigger that we couldn't do ourselves. And there's such beauty in that as long as you learn how to do partnerships, because partnerships in our society, actually, most people that aren't ahead blame somebody, blame partnerships, blame family, don't invest with your family, don't work with your family, don't do this. Like there's so much fear around it because there was a lack of tools and communication skills that they had with their partners. Okay, there's a thinking, there's a mindset. This game is 90% mindset. Everything is 90% mindset. All right, even the skilled athletes out there, they say that majority of the game that they play is mindset. The rest is just they train themselves to be physically ready to compete, but the game itself is mindset. Like the only difference between LeBron James and somebody that's not playing on the bench is mindset. Because LeBron's like, dude, I can do it. I'm the king. I'm the king on the basketball court. And the other dude is like, I just hope I make it on the bench. I make it on a roster on the team. I don't care if I don't play. I just want to make $100,000 a year. Mindset. All right, so it's going to be the same thing when we talk about multifamily. And, you know, I want everybody to do deals with me. A lot of you guys are here and a lot of you guys have asked, how do I do deals with you? How do I join your team? And being on these calls is the first step, but applying the things that some of the speakers that I bring onto this call is how that's going to happen. Because every speaker that I bring onto this call has made a difference in my life. And I look up to them on some level. All right, so if you want to play this game with me, you want to listen to what these speakers all have to say. All right, Robert Martinez was on this call. I'm in his, I just signed up for his mastermind, his little class, three days, $7,500. Rod Cleef was on this call. I'm in his Warrior Mastermind, $20,000 for the year, $15,000 for the boardroom, $35,000. I'm in. Grant Cardone, I was on his TV show. I'm in his club, $25,000 a year, right? So like I'm doing it. If I'm going to be around them, I will pay my way in if I have to. But I'm definitely listening to the things that they're saying, people that they recommend, people that they talk about. I'm like, oh yeah, who's this guy? Let me go find this guy too. That's how you get on the same page with somebody. That's how you get in proximity with somebody. And this game is all about proximity. I'm trying to get around Rod. I'm trying to get around Ryan Pineda. I'm trying to get around Grant Cardone. I'm trying to get around these guys, but I'm also providing a platform and a space for you to get around me. I'm calling you guys to me, and I'm giving you guys ways to get to me all the time. Invest in our deals. You got my attention. Join my mentorship. You got my attention. Be on these calls every week. Speak, ask questions, raise your hand, get engaged, get involved so that I know you. It's not about who you know, but it's about who knows you. All right, just because you guys are on these calls and you know me, you know Alex, I need to know you guys. I need to know you. So sit here with like questions, things that you're going to be like, hey, you know, one of my mentees on here, he got into a GP deal, being a general partner in like 1 month because he listened to everything I said. And one of the things I said was, when you're on Zoom calls, always have your camera on. Always have your camera on, always speak. Doesn't even matter if you don't know what to say, always speak. The second thing is the speaker is going to see you here and there, okay? Be a person that is nodding, smiling, that is giving energy to the speaker, so the speaker's looking at you, okay? Not the person that's got your arm crossed like, nah, you can't make me smile. You can't make me this. Tell me what you got for me. Because then you're not going to get anything. You can't even hear the words that are coming out of my mouth. All right, so be here like, yeah. Okay. And then I'm looking at you. I'm like, oh, this guy's real engaged. This guy's smiling. This guy's excited. Who is this guy? And then you call me and we have one-on-one talks. I'm like, yeah, I remember you. You were nodding and you were super excited on the call. So, be here in that way. And so I'm going to bring on a speaker shortly, right here. But first, just a couple announcements before we go into this call. December 16th to the 18th, a group of us are going to Grant Cardone's Real Estate Summit. That summit, I have tickets. I bought 40 tickets at $500. Okay, so that people in this community and everybody can get this at the cheapest price. If you're going to go buy it with Grant, it's going to be $1,000. So I bought 40 at a time. So I was like, I want the cheapest price. If I find out anybody gets it cheaper than this, I'm going to be very upset. So he's like, nobody will. I guarantee you. I spoke to the top manager person, like $500, the cheapest anybody will get it. I'm like, okay. I'm like, give it to me at that price, 40 tickets. All right, so 30 of them are already gone. We've created a WhatsApp group where we can roll to this event together. All right, I'm making t-shirts for everybody. Okay, Legends t-shirts, and we're gonna all show up to that thing. And Grant's gonna be like, who the hell is this community? And that's how we're all gonna get known together. He's gonna be like, damn, Alex and his Legends group, they roll deep. And now you guys are gonna we're gonna build it together. We're gonna get closer, we're gonna do proximity together. And so a lot of you guys know me. I'm about building community. I'm about going to places together with people. Some people say it's lonely at the top. You go by yourself. Oh, all this. Get rid of some of your partners. You don't need all these partners. Nah, I'm about, let's get somewhere together. I don't care about being at the top of the mountain. I care about at the end of the road, I have a whole community of people with me that I shared my success with a lot of people. That people's lives were changed because they invested in me and invested in themselves. That's what's important to me. Okay. All right. So a lot of people are going. If you are going, message me, get into the WhatsApp chat. Nick, if you can post the WhatsApp link for that chat for anybody here that is going already. I know some people have VIP tickets already. But the tickets that I have for everybody is in the general admission, executive ones, and that is $500 a ticket. Also, if you are going, message me your t-shirt size, and we will get you a t-shirt.
Alex, I'm in. Nick, sign me up. I'm extra large. Okay, I'm out.
Okay. There's very limited tickets left, so let me know. All right, there's probably 10 tickets left at 500. Then I can't help you.
Nick,
So
sorry, Alex.
okay. You got to text me. Text me your name, email address, and the size of your shirt. All right. So that's the first announcement. Second announcement is there is a link that we sent out in the email that you can put this on your calendar. So it's a reminder every week. All right. Nick, you can also stick that in the chat. Hold on. You here, Nick? Okay, everyone that's messaging.
I'm just on the phone. Yeah, I'm here.
Cool. Can you put the WhatsApp link in there? And then can you also put the calendar reminder link in there?
Yep, I got it.
I get a whole bunch of message later on like, hey, what's the link? What's the link? What's the link? I don't know. Is it just for Google or is it for both?
I think it's Google and Outlook. I remember correctly. Maybe.
Well, you got this. So
I got it.
Nick is, for everyone that don't know Nick is a stud. He's 16 years old and he is partnered with me on our marketing company. He's now a general partner in about 400 units, right? 400 or 500? Where are you at, Nick?
500.
500 units. He's a general partner with me on 500 units. 16 years old. If I was 16 years old, what was I? What were you guys doing at 16?
Party.
Yeah, exactly.
Party.
Partying, girls, partying, basketball, football, like that's it, you know? And Nick's literally running we just started a company. This is gonna be a 6-figure company in no time. And then he's got stake. All right, so that's what I wanted to share. Was there something else? No, okay. So without further ado, wait, hold on, wait, there is something else. Let me just preface this a little bit. Something that has been coming up this past week and really the entire time, this whole year that I've been going to these conferences, doing these calls, a lot of people have said to me, my partner is just not with it. You know, they're totally not engaged. You know, I want to do it, but my partner is not, you know, enrolled into it. Like, what do I do? And that scenario happens all the time. And I've actually seen people end up splitting up because the gap from this was too big. Like if you see this game and you're like, this is the game that I want to be in. The first thing is not to figure out how to play the game. The first thing is you got to tell your partner why this game is important. And there's going to be tools that I've used in my life to bring my wife with me to bring her on board. Because what I'm doing is pretty crazy for a normal person. If I had a partner who I didn't communicate with, and I go and drop 150 that I'm married to, okay, and I drop $150,000 on courses and masterminds, like she would probably leave me. It would be a problem. Okay. And then she's trying to buy a $3,000 couch. And I'm like, do we need a $3,000 couch? And she's like, you're dropping 150K. Can I get my $3,000 couch? But it's two things different. If she doesn't see it the way I see it, this is an investment. The other one is just us buying something. You know? So one is an investment, one is that. So there's got to be a lot of communication that happens. So who I've brought this week has been someone that has taught me so much. She's seen 3 different relationships that I was in, gave me so much advice across the board, and just saw how, you know, from the time that I was like a little baby to now I'm like a little like 5-year-old, she's watched it all and gave me so much advice along the way. And it's been just super amazing. She was the one that was my boss at the training that I was a part of. She's a great personal development, transformational trainer, one of the most heart-connected person I've ever met in my life. She is also a ICF certified, like a level 2, you know, coach in there. And you need thousands of hours or something like that recorded and all. It's a whole bunch of crazy thing to be a ICF certified coach. To anybody that knows about life coaching certifications, ICF is like the biggest worldwide recognized one by all the companies out there. She does you know, corporate relationship building and all that stuff. She'll tell you. I'll give her a chance to do it. I just wanted to edify her a little bit. Liz Haber Zambrano. She is my great teacher. She's amazing. Some of you guys know who she is and know how amazing she is. So this is a really, it's an honor to have you join us here tonight. And I know you're going to be dropping so much golden nuggets. I'm ready to take notes. And I hope you guys are as well today.
Thank you. Yes, how wonderful. And wow, Alex, like, yes, I remember that version of you that was like remember trying to buy that first house in Vegas and you opened up like a Tire Kingdom credit card and it messed up your credit score and you were like, what do we do? And like, look at where you are. I mean, just incredible. What an incredible journey to have witnessed and to have been a part of. And I'm so honored by you bringing me on here and to be with all of you tonight. thank you. Let me just start there. Thank you. My name is Liz Haber Zambrano, and yes, like Alex said, I am a transformational trainer, a professional certified coach with the International Coaching Federation. I do personal coaching as well as corporate coaching. So I work with businesses and individuals, and a lot of times entrepreneurs and business owners as well. And I have a specialty in transition, communication, and relationships. So that's a nice focus that I bring as well. So tonight, when Alex was telling me a little bit about this group and what you're doing here, he was sharing with me the communication breakdowns that sometimes happen in this venture when you're going for things and you don't have a partner that's on board. Or let's say you are in business or in work and it's not, you're trying to communicate what you're doing and you want to make moves and you don't have people on board. And it can be very challenging. Like, this is a big game already. This is a huge game already. And what we want to create around you as well, like, you have this tribe here, you have this mastermind here, as Alex said, but also creating that space at work and at home, like those places where you spend most of your time, right? So that this isn't just your only space, but you have team and you have support everywhere else. And one of the ways to do that is through what we're going to call conscious communication. So I'm going to go through some really amazing conscious communication tools tonight that you can use. Now, some of them, I'm just going to be honest, you've heard them already, right? You're not going to hear anything. Some of you may not hear anything you don't already know or haven't heard somewhere. But the invitation is not to just take this as, like Alex said, like, oh yeah, something that you've heard, but something that you practice and embody, because it's very simple and it works. It's very simple techniques, and they're techniques that actually work to create and deepen the relationships in your life. Because as Alex was saying, relationships are the bedrock of his success. Partnerships are the bedrock of his success. And what we can do together, as opposed to what we can do alone, is so much greater. So having tools to be able to communicate effectively with people that we love in our life, that we want on our team, is going to be vital. So we're going to go through that in just a second. And I also want to say, I'm gonna kind of toggle back and forth between like business relationships, but also and spousal or intimate relationships. Or you can also, if you're not in an intimate partnership, you can say family relationships, because they're similar in a lot of ways, but then there's some distinctions as well. So you'll hear me kind of toggle back and forth between those. Nick, good to see you. Could you make me a co-host, please, so I can share my
You're sharing
screen?
power already.
Oh, thank you.
No, long time
I
no see.
appreciate you. Yeah. All right. Okay, so here we go. Let's go. I made slides. I was like, Alex, do we do slides? He was like, like, I'm a slide person. I'm auditory, but I know there's some visual learners as well. So if you are visual, this could support you. So communication and relationships. So challenges in relationships, they are our greatest joy, and they can be our biggest challenges at the same time, right? So we really want to access compassion first for yourself when it comes to relationships. Your number one relationship is going to be between you and you. So if you don't have routines of speaking kindly to yourself and consciously communicating with yourself, it's going to be difficult to translate that into a working relationship with other people. So the first thing you want to do is notice and truly observe how you're speaking to you. How do you communicate that inner dialogue with you? And if it's not that great, then we want to start practices to kind of start to shift that. That could look like affirmation practices, saying, interrupting negative thoughts. I once had someone, a coach, be like, write down every single negative thought that you have so you can really see it and dissect it, and then replace it with a positive thought. And it's not so much, some of you may have a hard time believing the positive thought, because like Alex was saying, it's all mindset. And this is what I'm going to say to that, because I get that a lot. Like, well, I want to believe that, but I don't believe it about me. It's easier for me to believe the negative things I tell myself than it is the positive things. If that's you, what I'm going to say is it's a practice. So it may not be right away, but we want to practice feeding ourselves the more positive thoughts about ourselves, because you've already practiced the negative ones. They're ingrained. It's not actually the truth with the capital T, it's just a habit that you've had, that you've created. So we want to start to practice interrupting those negative thoughts with positivity so that your relationship between you and you can be more effective. So observing, listening without judgment. How do you do that, Liz? Curiosity. Curiosity is the antidote to judgment. If you're ever having a judgment thought, ask, where did that come from? How do I really know that? Is that really true? What if it wasn't true? Get curious. And then accepting differences, being open to new possibilities. So learning how to communicate without judgment, starting with yourself, is going to support you in deepening your relationships with people in your life. So some of the best tools for conscious communication is mindfulness. So we're going to show you some mindfulness tools. So one, stay in the present moment as much as you can, especially if you're going from, you want to get your family and your marriage and your team on board, and you're going from work mode to home mode. Be in home mode. Be in the flow of what is happening in your home when you're home, especially if you work from home. So some of us, we used to drive to work and then come back, or drive out and do something and then come back. And that drive was in many ways a transition practice. So now, ooh, I just had somebody join me. You say hello to everybody. Thank you. My wonderful husband is going to take her because we communicate consciously about what we're doing. So now if you're not working from home, if you're working from home, we don't have that drive anymore. So sometimes some of us, you get off a business call and then you hang up the phone and then you're with your family, but you're still in business mode. And that can cause strife because your business mode and family mode are not the same mode all the time. I don't want to be in, I'm a professional coach. I don't want to be coach mode or trainer mode when I'm with my husband or I'm with my family. And they don't want me to be that either. In fact, when I am in that mode, they don't like it, right? It's not great feedback for me. So what I've learned is really having a conscious moment of stopping. Even if you have I pretend I have a hat on. So I'll be like, okay, after this call, I'm going to take off, trainer, presenter, speaker mode, and I'm going to put on mommy mode, wife mode. I'm going to put that hat on because it's a different version of me. It's a different version of me. So I just pretend that as a transition practice. But you want to develop your own. What works for me? And eliminating multitasking. Being when you're with your work, be with your work. When you're with your family, be with your family. So if you're on your phone, you're distracted, they're going to see this all as things that are pulling you away from being connected, instead of things that are making you this version of yourself that is coming home being incredible, right? So this is a growth opportunity. So if we can be present with the people that we love when we're present with them, the more present they're going to be with us, the more open, the more receptive they're going to be with us. Another practice, practicing everything is new. So one of the classic things we do in relationship, a pitfall, is we bring the past version of people into the present, and then we keep recreating that. So if you say something like, my business partner is always complaining, my romantic partner is never romantic, and my client is always critical. That's the only way that they can show up in your space. If you say it like that, there cannot be another way, because you've already decided who they are. But guess what? They could be around somebody else and a different version of them shows up. So practicing everything is new mindfully is like new moment. I don't actually know who this person is right now. Let me get curious. Let me be present. Who is here? Who is this person? Also practicing deeply listening to others. I think this is the key. A lot of times we listen to respond, or we listen to react, or we listen to be right or to be wrong, or we listen for agreement. What do we agree with? What do we disagree with? Instead of listening to understand. That's what we want to play. We want to listen to understand people. And that is going to call forth you being curious. That is going to call forth you being open, receptive, and present with people. So if you can actually, if you don't do any of these, but you practice that one, listening to understand, it will change your relationship. It will change your every relationship in your life. Listen to understand. It will have you show up. It will have you ask different questions. It will have you not make assumptions. It will have you be with somebody. And then finally, observe your own feelings and energy. So if you're noticing that you're not in a place where you can be these other things, then maybe not talk so much, right? Or maybe not, as much as you can, maybe remove yourself from the situation, get yourself into a better space, or speak that. Like, I can notice myself right now. I don't have the capacity to be present. There's so much on my head. I just need to, and then ask for what you need. But be present to your own feelings and your own energy as well when you are working on communicating in your relationship. Any questions or comments so far before I move into some really cool tools?
Yeah, I got some questions for you.
Let me hear them.
Well, first of all, I've heard you share some of these things with me before, and you've told me these things, and I do try to practice them. But lately, because I'm doing so much, I got the speech going that I'm competing for, got a deal that we just closed, another deal that we're doing. So it is very fast paced. And sometimes I don't know when to cut it off, when to stop doing it. And my wife actually has been saying, hey, look, you're not being very present to, this, you're always messaging this, and it's always like something is happening that you need to be addressing. So where is the transition? How do we transition? Like, I'm in Hawaii right now, okay? And everybody is, we're literally, my friends just got married last night, and they're all, now at the downstairs at the beach or at the wherever, somewhere in the resort. And I'm missing a lot of this time. How do we create that boundary for ourselves?
Really great question. So I'm going to say, especially in this business where you are your own person, you create that boundary for yourself through communication. So a tool I use is Liz is open for business and Liz is closed for business. So knowing what is an actual emergency and what requires my attention right now, and what can wait until Liz is open for business again. So most business doesn't take place, at least in my life, past 7 o'clock. Okay. So Liz is closed for business, and I will open up again at 8 a.m. tomorrow morning as soon as I can. And having those kind of boundaries. Also, now the iPhone has that amazing focus where you can put like work focus on or personal focus on. Use the tools that you have in your life so that you can also navigate through being present with others. I like to say, and this is from an author, Glennon Doyle, my phone is not the boss of me. In this culture where urgency, like this urgency culture, somebody texts us, we need to respond right away. We need to respond right away, right away, right away. It can keep us from being present with the people that we love the most. And so knowing and discerning for yourself, what is actually an emergency and what can wait is very, very important. Most things are not an emergency. Most things can wait or take place during Alex's or whoever's business hours, and we train the people around us how to treat us. So if you've trained people that they can text you anytime, any day, and you're always going to respond, you're always going to be at effect of your cell phone or your dinging, right? Instead of you putting in these boundaries of these are the hours that I'm available. And then these are the hours that I spend, with my wife, or this is what I'm doing. And we retrain people. Most people can wait. Everybody's reasonable enough to wait. So that's what I offer to you. Does that support you?
No, that's amazing. I totally forgot because I remember you told me this a long time ago, that you train people how to be with you. And yeah, I'm always doing that. And I am literally always in the space like, yeah, okay, just message me anytime.
Yes.
So,
Yeah.
okay.
I heard you tell everybody to text you their t-shirt and email. And I'm thinking, isn't there a more effective way to do that? Like maybe email you, or is there somebody else that they could be texting? Like, that's what I heard. I'm like, oh, okay. And I love it. I love that you're that connected, and you also get to have these boundaries so that you can be fulfilled in the other areas of your life that also matter to you. And people understand that. People get that. Yeah.
Right. Okay, you guys heard it. I got Alex is open and Alex is closed at certain times. So,
Liz.
Yeah.
Liz, Antoine here, if I could jump in. I'm very
Sure.
impressed with your list here. One quick question about, as I heard you present, I was struggling with feelings and logic, so if I wanted to flip it to a romantic moment, logically, okay, I want to flip it, but maybe my feelings are still stuck in business or something else that I'm still struggling to get over, but my partner is right in my face and I'm trying to be like, flip it. So any advice in that area?
Yes. This would be actually, in a moment, I'm going to go through some really practical tools, and some of them may really support you, but a transition practice of some sort for you that would work. Like I shared, I take off my hat, I put on my hat, or you could do something like, I'm open for business, I'm closed for business, or you can ask for, give me 5 minutes. Give me 5 minutes to just decompress, let my mind stop, finish this email, and then you've got me the rest of the night. Ask for what you need. Ask for what you need. Yeah. Thank you. Great question.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Who else got a question? I can't really see everybody. So if you got a question, you can just unmute yourself and just ask your question.
Yeah.
So I'm curious about the eliminating the multitasking, because I'm sort of a master multitasker. And are you going to be presenting tips on how to eliminate multitasking?
The tip is stop it.
Just stop it.
Stop it. Yeah, because you know what the difference is. And if you are on your phone, especially like a lot of us, we can be very good at this, on the phone, trying to clean, trying to listen, trying to cook dinner, trying to make this email happen. And then the person you're with is like, hey, hello, are you there? Are you there? The trick is, the game is stop it. When you're with them and you have time dedicated to them, give them that time. So whatever you can do to eliminate the distractions, do that.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Okay. Anybody
Hi,
else?
my name is Tony. I have a question. Can you hear me?
Go for it, Tony. Yep.
Thank you so much. I'm really impressed with your whole presentation as a fellow communications person who worked in PR for many years. I love everything that you said. And one of the executives I work with, one of the first female CEOs that I worked with, I was really impressed at how her first advice to me was, whatever you do, make sure you're present. If you're in a meeting with someone, don't be texting, don't do it. Stay present and move from each task and be as present as you can be. That's something I've carried with me to this point. Now I have a family where I have a son and things like that. And I have to kind of remind people, especially when you're working like in projects, like how Alex says, you're working with partners and things like that, that, okay, it's, 9 o'clock at night, I'm with my son, I just saw him. Like, I need to like not talk about business right now and be present for him, because I honor that time that I'm with him. But, and I do that as politely as I can, but what do you do when you feel that the other person isn't getting it? Or they're like offended that like, oh, how dare you? Because I don't want to tarnish a relationship, especially a partner relationship that is so sensitive and there is a lot of money on the line. But at the same time, I need to honor my son.
Absolutely. How do you know that they're offended?
The expression on their face, they tighten up, they said, okay, they close up everything and they leave.
If they're, especially as a partner and there's that much on your mind, sometimes when we put in boundaries with people, it's not always going to be like, oh yes, absolutely, of course, you know,
Yeah.
it's a lot of times it is though. Most people get it. Most people will get it. But if I'm going to go back to the training people how to treat us, if they have been able to have access to you, let's say at 9 o'clock at night, a lot of times, and then you come back and you put in a boundary, that can be an interruptive thing. Like people may be like, oh, okay, I'm sorry. And we don't know if we actually don't know that they're offended. Maybe they're embarrassed. Maybe they're something else. If we don't ask them, like you maybe interpreted that, but it's not like the truth. The other thing is, it's not anybody else's job to keep the boundary except the person that is putting the boundary in. That's a very important piece. So let's say you say 9 o'clock and they still reach out to you at 9 o'clock. Your boundary is to not respond until the next day because it's yours, not theirs. It's your boundary. And a lot of times what we do is we put in these boundaries and then we expect everybody to respect them and then we get mad when they don't. That's not their job. It's our job to keep it. So it's our job. Okay, if you want to be offended, okay, let's talk about it. I'm totally willing to talk about it. I'm not gonna change my mind, right? But most reasonable people, and I'm gonna assert, especially people that you want to do business with, would completely understand that. And if they don't, maybe we don't do business with them. Just saying. Like maybe we get to do business with people that really align with our own values and ways of being. But that's a very personal, you choose that, you understand that.
Yeah, I've come across that in other areas too. Like where you put in a boundary and someone's like, well, why? But I've also been on the other side, like, oh, why? So I just wanted to know, like, what's the best way? Thank you very much. Your explanation hid in the niha for me. So I appreciate that. Thank you so much.
You're so welcome. Yeah. Okay, I'm going to move on because we got some other things to do. Here we go. So conscious communication, we've already been talking about it. Boils down to being present in the moment, right? And establishing communication with people in a way that has them feel not only heard, but you are also speaking clearly on what it is that you need. So we're going to talk about what is not conscious communication in just a second. But that's the idea, that we put it into practice. And again, you're not going to hear anything you don't already know. But the idea is that we put it into practice with people. And it also comes from a place of empathy, awareness, and compassion. I want to say that too, because if you're going to be really present with somebody and curious with somebody, you need that presence, that empathy, that compassion. And in partner relationships, I'm going to toggle to, when I say partner, I mean spousal or intimate relationships. If the foundation of the conscious communication is going to be connection. So a lot of times you may look at your relationships and you'll be say, oh, we have to communicate better. Well, I would assert before that, you've got to connect better. You've got to get connected, because if you don't have the connection, your communication is going to be all over the place. We're going to assume things. We're going to be on edge. We're going to be passive aggressive. All of those things happen when we don't experience connection. So before you can even have conscious communication in intimate relationships, you need to create connection. So whatever that looks like, date night, time together, present, that's where that other list comes into place. Create that first and then work on the communication. Actually, you create that first, the communication part usually takes care of itself. But let me show you some examples of what is not conscious communication. So in partner, in business, it can sound like, will you get your work done this week? Like closed-ended questions that are a little bit passive aggressive, that don't actually have a question in mind, or if they do, it's kind of a rhetorical, and you're listening to respond or react to what the person's thing, what the person's answer said. It's also not very clear. So unconscious communication are what I call sloppy agreements. Like, oh yeah, we'll talk sometime this week. Okay, bye. But there's no actual agreement of like, okay, what day, what time, what works for you. Oh yeah, we'll get that we'll get that down sometime. But there's no time, like an actual agreement requires a committed listener, a committed speaker, a terms of fulfillment, and a time. So those are really important to creating real agreements and conscious communication. And then if you don't have that, you have sloppy agreements that people don't really get and expectations that aren't met. So you want to be really clear when you are making agreements with people. Okay, now what does conscious communication sound like? Here's an example. What do you need to have your goals done this week? How can I support you? These are open-ended questions, right? And it's coming from curiosity. And it doesn't always mean how can I support you, but what support do you need? It's coming from a place of presence, of respect, of appreciation. And they're usually open-ended. So there's more than just one word answers. Any questions so far before? Next time, what I'm going to do is go into some really easy tools that you can use in different kind of conflict or communication scenarios that can ease and bring you back to conscious communication. But I just want to check in again.
I have a quick question. Sorry, my camera is off, so it doesn't look like I'm looking at you, but I'm looking at you. It's just
okay.
Is off. Yes, I had an interesting situation today, and I get very upset because I hate to be talked over, and especially by men that feel entitled and feel like they can do that on business communication. And I mean, all that you said, I apply. I try to apply all the time, but I'm not perfect, and I can't hold my tongue all the time, and I'm not one that will let people talk over me or disrespect me. So what can I do to, one, not let people talk over you, right? And think that you are submissive or whatever. How can you be respected on this situation? What would you do?
Okay, I do have a tool for that, and we're actually going to get to it in this. But I'm also going to go back to what Alex said in the beginning. So there's a mindset and a presence that's happening. So if you find that this is something that keeps happening in your life, especially with men, then you want to start to look at, how am I showing up in a way that this keeps happening to me? If it keeps happening, especially with different people, do I get to be, am I interrupting? Like, let me see myself. Am I interrupting people? Am I making requests for, please wait until I'm finished? Or I notice that you keep interrupting me. Can you wait until I'm clear and complete until we begin? Am I showing up? Am I speaking up? Or am I showing up? I don't know. I'm just asking, am I showing up meek, or am I showing up too aggressive on that level where people don't feel like they can be open with me, or they have to be already defensive when they're in relationship with me, like with their dukes up, because I have my dukes up. Like, how am I being? Start there and really get like introspective. And then if you notice, especially because you said men and women, so if you notice that there are women in your life that doesn't happen to, talk to them. Pick their brain. What's going on? How do you think about conversations? How do you present yourself in conversations, especially business conversations, for what's working?
Yeah.
Does that support you?
Yeah, no,
You're welcome.
I appreciate that. And I don't feel very comfortable saying this in front of everybody here, 70 people, but I feel very confident on that I didn't do anything wrong, and he wasn't doing that only with me, but I had to say something. I'm like, hold on, I'm talking now. Can you just wait? And I felt that people got offended, and I'm like, how do you deal with this? This is so. When I was saying that happened, it's because I have been in business and with executives and all. And executives, the male, do that not with me only, but with other women too. And I'm like, why? This shouldn't. We all have people like you to teach us and to tell on, companies, they bring people like you to talk about that. But they don't follow.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, even tonight, you're going to hear stuff that you know that we don't all follow, and the idea is that we practice. So in situations like that, especially, saying something, if you notice that it keeps happening, absolutely. And then saying something in a way that's effective. That's the other thing. So if you notice yourself getting like, and do stuff, then you take a breath and we'll go through that so that you can be like effective and they can hear you. That's important too.
Thank
Yeah.
you.
Welcome. All right. Next. So here we go. Some practical tools. One, active listening. So conscious communication tool number one, active listening. So great idea with active listening especially if you're not familiar with how to do it, it takes some training, is a technique called the voice mirroring technique. So this is if you find your mind wandering and you're not really getting curious, the voice mirroring technique looks like you repeating back to yourself in your own mind what the person is saying to yourself. Let's practice that right now. So the voice mirroring technique requires you to repeat back to yourself what the person is saying. And what that does is it keeps you from interrupting. And it also keeps you really present to what is being said. Keeps you really present to what is being said. Voice mirroring technique, really simple way to stay conscious when you're listening. Okay, awesome. Tool number two. I'm going to kind of go through because I don't actually know how much time I have, but I don't want to take. How much time do I have, Alex?
You got like 10, 15 minutes.
Okay, yeah. Then I'm going to move along, and then I'll take more questions at the end. Okay, tool number two: conscious communication, reflective listening. So this one is a great one for people that you notice are interrupting you. So let me say something before I continue. Especially in your partnerships, in your partner relationships, you do not want to be teaching your partner. If you learn something tonight, you don't want to be teaching your partner this in the middle of disagreement. Right? So this is a conversation, if you learn some things that you want to have before disagreements happen. And by the way, disagreements are not a bad thing. In fact, conflict is good, especially in trusting relationships. When you trust that we're going to figure it out no matter what, conflict is a positive thing because it has people speak how they really feel, share their beliefs, and work it out until you find a common ground. So all of these tools just support you in mitigating that conflict for it to get like disrespectful or nasty or personal, right? Or like feeling like an attack. So, but conflict itself is not a bad thing. Conflict itself is a very good thing, and it shows trust. So we want that. So if you're going to teach your spouse, or you're going to bring your partner or your business partner some conscious communication tools that you can use, do it before there's disagreement. Okay, so reflective listening supports you in understanding, especially if you would say something like what Isabel's point. I noticed that we keep cutting each other off. Let's do reflective listening or voice mirroring, and you tell me everything that you want to say. And when you're done, just say, I'm finished speaking, or I'm complete. And after they said everything, you say something like, okay, so what I heard you say was, am I right? Or am I missing something? Is that what you said? And then you go and you say everything. And is that what you said? Did I get that right? But from a curious place, not from a, I know that I'm right and place, right? Because we're meaning-making machines. And we are constantly, if we don't do this, we're constantly interpreting what we think the person said. So you may say, hey, you're yelling at me, stop yelling at me. And they're saying, no, I'm actually speaking in a normal voice. Well, but that's what our interpretation is, you're yelling at me. Or you might have something like, you said you didn't love me, and your partner's like, well, I actually never said that. So reflective listening is a really easy way to to slow down, let each other finish, and then make sure that you understand one another. So what I heard you say was, is that what you meant? Okay. Next, another really good one. Take 5. Take 5. So this is for sometimes if you're ever in a disagreement with somebody and you can't even remember what you were arguing about in the first place. This is a great tool to use to move from your sympathetic nervous system, that fight or flight response, to your parasympathetic nervous system. So the logic, the relaxation. So that if you take 5, let's just take 5 minutes. Let's go to different places of the area of the house of whatever. Let's breathe separately. Get our thoughts together, come back. And again, it's important that you talk about this before. So if you're trying to be like, I need 5 minutes in the middle of a fight, and they're like, why are you leaving? Let's work this out. That happens sometimes too. So this, if you talk about it, hey, remember we talked about like sometimes we should just take 5 minutes, or I need 5 minutes. You can bring that in to reset the conversation. Really great one. Another one, this one I love, communication, put it in the basket. If you are in relationship, or this works at work and this works at home. If you have somebody that loves to, that has, I'm guilty of this, something pops into my head and I want to take it to my partner or my business partner or my husband right away, and I want to talk about it and solve it right there. But they're in the middle of something and they don't have the, capacity to give me the attention that I need at that moment. So if you're in a relationship with somebody like me or somebody like that, this is a great tool. So it means, let's put it in the basket. Hey, I hear you. I see this is important to you, but I'm in the middle of something. I can't give you that attention. Let's put it in the basket. And if you're the one that calls, put it in the basket. It's your job to bring it up within the next 24 hours. Like, how about tomorrow morning, over coffee or something, or we can set a meeting for then here or then, and you bring it back up. You bring it back up. So put it in the basket. Really great tool. Oops, sorry. Next. Conscious communicating from your own experience. So this is a really great one. Instead of using we language, or you are talking about other people's experience, come back to talking about your own experience, because talking from the space of I is really important when you're consciously communicating, because people don't like to feel as though you are making assumptions for them, or you are, what they should be feeling or what they are having, what experience they're having. So you want to say things like, rather than saying something like, it's freezing in here, or you should do yoga, or it's so good for you. You talk from your own experience. I'm cold. I'm having I'm going to go get a jacket, or can we turn the air down? Or I've done yoga and it's been amazing for me. And I'm going to share from my experience, if you're open to that, what it can do if you want that. So that's another really important one. And that person that's always talking about like you, we, us, and you're like, that's not my experience. So you don't want to be that person. Be that person that speaks from I and my own experience. Next, replacing should for could and but for and. You ever get an apology from someone and they're like, yeah, especially like a partner, like, I really want to apologize for the way that I was being the other day, but you also XYZ, but you really made me mad, but you really got under my skin. And if you're the one receiving the apology, you're like, what is this? Are you really apologizing, or is this just your way of like telling me about me again? Try putting and. I really want to apologize for the way that I acted earlier today, or the way that I was. And I could see that I got really triggered by something that, insert whatever here. I got really triggered, and I own that. And I could have been more curious. So try replacing and anytime you want to say but. It goes a long, long way. And then the shoulds. If you are in the habit of shoulding on yourself and shoulding on other people, replacing it for could opens up possibility. Instead of saying something like, you should follow up with that client, you could follow up with that client. People are more receptive, including yourself, if you start using could instead of should. Let me see. Is that the last one? Okay. Conscious tool for communication, number 7. Observe, discern, and request. Really, really important. So a lot of times breakdowns in communication happen when we do not clearly speak, like we don't even know what we're experiencing clearly, and we try to communicate from a place of passive aggression or anger or uncertainty. Instead, this tool has you say, okay, what is happening? What am I really experiencing? And then do I have any requests from that place? Do I want to make any requests? So if you say something like, let me think. Stop interrupting me. Here's one. It's a demand, and people do not respond well to demands. But a request could sound something like, hey, I noticed that every time you're interrupting me, it's making me feel very frustrated because my need of being respected is not being met. So I want to request that we do some active listening right now, or I want to request that you let me finish completely what I'm going to say and then reflect back to me what I said, so that we know we're really listening to one another. And then I'll be 100% silent and you can speak, and then I'll do the same. So I want to make that request because the other way is not working for me and I feel like I'm not being respected. Completely different come from. So we want to practice observing ourselves and making requests instead of demands, because they're more effective. People work and respond a lot better to requests than demands. Any questions so far? Those are the tools, and I have one more that I'm going to show you when it comes to intimate relationships. But I want to know.
Yeah, Liz. Wow, this is amazing stuff, and stuff that I knew from the trainings, and thanks to you and everything. And thanks for verifying the fact that I'm in a relationship with an alien, because there's not one of those tools, all right, and I've tried them all, not one of them that will work, but I will, I'll definitely use it in the next relationship, because this is amazing stuff. This actually works. I know for a fact that this works, but like I said, I'm with an alien, and but thank you so much.
Yeah. You're welcome. And I'm going to say our come from matters so much in this, like being authentic with people, being real with people, and really being connected. If they remember, I said the connection comes first before communication. If you have the connection, all of this will flow. If you're missing the connection, this feels like you'll get feedback like, oh, this is robotic, or this is therapy, or don't mumble, like don't try to I don't know. You just get bad feedback. But when you have that connection, it's like, oh my God, all of this makes absolute sense. All of this makes absolute sense. So creating the connection first is what's going to really make a difference.
Oh yeah,
before
there's
we can
definitely
use
a connection, and I have I've come across in all different kinds of ways of being. Unfortunately, it's more than that. It's a personality disorder, so it's a little bit more intense, and it's not really her. I mean, as much as my come from has been all about this, and no matter what way I did it, it just never works, and it's out of my hands. So I got to just know how to, let that go.
I get that. Yeah. Yep. I get that. So that's going to make a difference too. Like that we are dealing with a reasonable, semi-reasonable person. But if we're dealing with mental health issues and things like that, may not work as well. But I appreciate your share. Thank you.
Hi, I have a question, please. Thank you for your information.
Sure.
But the question is, could you please explain more what is the difference between connection and communication? Like,
That's a great question. Let's think about that. Well, does connection require even words? I'm going to assert that it doesn't. It's something that goes beyond language. When you're really connected with someone. It's an experience, it's a feeling. It's as though you're in rhythm, in sync with someone, in flow. There's a mutual caring, there's a mutual respect. And then the language, the coordination of things and speaking comes later. But first we got to get to that space that's beyond words, beyond language, a space of empathy, like I said, of respect, of love, of mutual love. And then from there, everything flourishes.
All right, thank you.
You're welcome. Good question. Really good question. So I'm going to show you one more tool. This is my secret weapon for people in love partnerships. Okay, whatever way that looks like. So in our regular life, we have, not in our regular life, in our business world, in our business life, we have meetings all the time, right? You have meetings to coordinate effective action, to get on the same page about things, to discuss, company values, tactics, goals, what's happening, all of the above meetings. But sometimes in our actual intimate relationships, we don't do that. We don't have those. And so a lot of things can fall through the crack, and coordinating action doesn't always work. And then you have, oh, I didn't know what's going on, things like that. So what I always recommend that couples do to stay connected with one another is a state of our union meeting. This is something I have all my clients do that are in love relationships or partnerships. You can also do this with family, by the way. I want to extend that as well. But I'm gonna focus in this moment to intimate partnerships. So we call it the state of our union, and it's once a week meeting. And you can think of the acronym ACEs. So you want to start with appreciation. So you kind of start in that space. So what do you appreciate or acknowledge about one another from this week? What can you appreciate? And there's always something. And then you move on to a week in our life. What is our calendar? What is happening in our calendars that we need to coordinate, we need to think up on? This is like the business of being in relationship together. Okay.
And I give that to that girl, bro. Hold that back. Shit. Oh my goodness.
Mute, please.
Oh.
I'm gonna just assume I blew this person's mind. So what's the business of, what do we have coming up? Let's coordinate our schedules. If you have, a particular job, you don't need to go through all the things that are happening, when you're both working. But if there's space of, hey, we got a dinner on Saturday, we got Alex's mastermind on Monday, we have this happening on Tuesday, and you can coordinate what's happening so you're both on the same page, and you just take a moment to do that. Also a good place to dump any other types of budgeting conversations you want to have, or any, let's say you're trying to plan your next real estate investment together. What are we going to do together? Let's look at our finances. Throw it in the weekly meeting, because you have time set aside once a week to do something like that. Or if you want to plan a trip, things like that, big conversations, throw it in the meeting. Next, evaluation. So this is a great way to rate your relationship from a scale of 1 to 10. But here's the trick. If you don't say that it's a 10, you as the person that's not rating it a 10 get to say what you are going to do or be to have it become a 10. You never put the onus on the partner to make it a 10. It's you. So what am I going to bring to this relationship to make it a 10? And then the idea is they do the same thing. What am I going to bring if it's not a 10? And if you're checking weekly, if you're doing these check-ins once a week, most of the time you will be around, once you work there, if you're not there already, 8, 9, 10 level, because you're checking every week. It's not like something that all of a sudden you go from that 10 to a 4, right? That's something that happens over time. So if you're checking every week and you're checking in every week, you can make adjustments to keep your relationship at that high performance, high level, because you're checking it every single week. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
I mean, And then finally, how you end it with support. What support do you need this week? How can I, as your partner, support you this week? So if like what Alex is saying, if it's like, honey, I'm gonna need you to turn off your phone and spend time with me sometimes. So what can support you in doing that, you know? And you can ask for what you need. So this is a place to ask for what you need and ask for support. I have clients that like to open this up with like an icebreaker. They do pull like a card or ask each other a deep question. I have clients that like to end this with gratitude. I have clients that like take roll call and have fun with it. So this is a fun thing to do with your partner, and it keeps you connected and it keeps you in that state of appreciation and on the same page. So I offer this to you, use it. It can be 15 minutes most of the time. And then if you're having bigger conversations, it may be longer. But this is a great tool to stay connected with your partner. And then finally, because I said the best relationships start with you. This is a practice that you can use to really connect with yourself. Because once you have that relationship with yourself, you have it with everyone else. So acknowledge every day, what are my strengths? What are my talents? And if you want to take a screenshot of this page, do this. What are the character qualities that I like about myself? The contributions that I've made or I am making? And what is the love that I give and receive? So answer these for yourself before you go to sleep and get really connected with the greatness that you are. So you can be connected and communicate consciously with all the other people in your life that matter to you. So thank you so much. And with that, Alex, I'd send it back to you.
Wow. So first of all, thank you for that. That was so much more than what I asked you to do for us here. My question was simply like, hey, if spouses want to get really into real estate and their partners are not on board and it's creating this big division, how do they communicate? What are some tools? And man, you dropped so many nuggets. I wrote so many on my notes. And I know even with so much that I already knew, I'm not really practicing that every day. So I have things that I took from this call, and I hope everybody here are taking something from this tool, from this call, and putting it into practice. The application of some of these things is important. I don't care if you didn't get any of it, but you took one thing and is practicing with it. Like, that's going to be amazing. If you just did the ACEs, the State of the Union, like, I know that this is something my wife and I were talked about doing, and we did it for a while and then we stopped. And I'm like, I need to get back to this, so thank you for the reminder. So I think from what I'm getting here is we need to create the connection. We need to have these practices so that the relationship is so solid that when one partner finds something like multifamily or real estate and they want to dive into it, that there's already a platform or a communication channel, something that the tools that they use to communicate that this is important, this is what I think we should do. Is just chime in a little bit on that. Like, if somebody you're trying to enroll your partner into something big, right?
Yeah. So starting with the space of that connection space is going to be really important. So first you want to evaluate, like, where is my connection level with my partner right now? If you're at a 4 or a 2 or a 3, don't bring it up yet. We're bringing it up to a 10 and work from there. The other thing is sometimes we can get really, really excited about something, right? Like, you get on these calls, you're like, I got this opportunity, I'm so excited. And then you go to your partner and you meet them with, let's call it like this, they can feel like manic energy to them, because you're saying, I want to drop 100, like, I want to take our savings and do this, and they're like, wait a minute, right? Wait a minute. So bring it down for a second, like get excited somewhere else, and then bring it down and come clear, come open, come curious, and also come ready to hear and listen to the concerns. Because a lot of times what's happening with your partners is not that they're necessarily a no, but if they will get more defensive if they express their concerns to you and you dismiss them. If you are not really open to listening to them, then it just creates more defensiveness. So you really want to hear what their concerns are and have a thoughtful discussion about what to do about them, you know, and then decide from there. You may actually like be willing to come away with saying, all right, this isn't the moment right now. Okay, fine. Be willing, not saying that you will, but if you're willing, you most likely will get that person on board because you're willing. That's what I would share.
So much that you taught right here, and even what you just said right now, because I'm very excited right now, and I get really excited, and I oftentimes will go to my wife super excited, and I guess, yes, I can see that it does seem like some crazy manic energy. So,
Yeah, right.
okay, even with what you just taught me today, I'm gonna just get calm first before I go and drop these 7 tools that I'm about to drop on her. Be like, hey, remember this? Let's get back into it right now.
Right. Because they're not here. They're not in this right now. Right. And
Yeah.
sometimes it can actually be, I'm going to say, even abusive. Not that we do that on purpose, but if we have this expectation that I just got all this crazy information and now you need to be on board. And if you're not, then like that's abusive instead of, hold on. They weren't here.
Yeah.
So let me meet them where they're at and be open and talk from that space.
Okay, I will breathe and I'll take 5 before that happens.
Yeah.
We'll take some questions for Liz. Liz is a, you know, she does personal relationship coaching, which is freaking phenomenal. And then she also does business coaching. So she can come in and if you have a business and if you have a corporation, something that you need somebody to help bring this message that you're hearing right now to your, you know, employees or your company, whatever, you know, I'll be putting in all of her information in an email and I'll send it out in the follow-up and the replay of this call. And Liz, if you want, you can even put it in the chat, like some things for yourself.
Sure, I'll put my my website. I also work, if you have a small to mid-sized company that you really want to make conscious, let's say like a conscious awareness. I work with a company called the C-Suite Collective, and they come in and offer corporate boutique style services for your company to address whatever it is that you're looking for. So I'll put that in there as well. Finally, I'm 9 months pregnant. So I am going to be going on maternity leave till about end of February, March. So I'm going to put my information, my website. Feel free to contact me on there, and know that all engagements will business Liz is closed for business until February,
Liz,
March.
last time I saw you, you were pregnant. What did you stay pregnant or what?
Well, it's been two. Then you haven't seen me in 2 years.
Yeah, yes, exactly.
Yeah, it's been that long. So everything will I will resume. I will be open for business again end of February, March. Yeah. Yeah, but go ahead if you want, reach out so that you stay on my radar, and I will contact you when I'm open for business again. Yeah, if you want that.
So we'll take 3 questions and then we're going to go into the speed networking, and we'll do about 2 of those and that's it. So
nice.
3 questions, raise your hand or unmute yourself.
Liz, Antoine here.
Yep.
You mentioned the keyword effective communication, and I have 2 questions around that. One is executives and good salesmanship, they know how to say something really quickly and communicate through maybe within 3 minutes or less. And that's a study, you learn how to do that. So I was wondering if you have any advice for us on how to practice that skill set. And then the second part of the question is, if you're dealing with somebody who is trying to take 15 minutes or 10 minutes to say something and they're going on and on and on, how do you politely, you know, address it, right? Because they may feel that you're cutting them off.
Okay, in terms of 3-minute speaking, no, I don't really have anything on that. But I would say get really clear on what it is you want to say, and make sure you make really clear agreements. Interrupting people, you got to go for it, especially if you got to go for it. Hey, I hear you, and we only have a certain amount of time, and I only have a few minutes. Or let me just interrupt you right there for one moment. La 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 la. Or these are all things you can say, but it's gonna be your come from. So you gotta have some courage. And then you gotta know that your intention is not to offend anyone. Your intention is not to offend anyone. Your intention is to be clear and communicate effectively. And if that's your intention, then we got to let go of the results. Although you can see how it worked, you know, did it work? Did it not work? And tweak it from there. But it's going to take some courage probably if you're not used to doing that, to just really get in there. And then we teach people how to treat us. So the more we do that, they know, okay, I'm the kind of person that you got to have your thoughts together before you come and you talk to me. And we treat people how to teach us. I mean, we teach people how to treat us. That's what I would share.
Nice. So
Thank you.
Antoine, you work for Elon Musk and Tesla. So have the courage to interrupt Elon when Elon's talking. It's all good.
Please. Oh my God. Or tweeting.
Okay, cool. 2 more questions. That's it. I mean, I know she was super clear. Her communication is on point. So if there's no question, totally okay.
Can you guys hear me?
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, so it's not really a question, it's more of a statement. I think everything you ran through was awesome. I gotta give my wife the world, right? She knows the goals that I have and we're driving towards. And we have a lot of clear communication on that. But I think a piece to tie into everything that you mentioned, right, is to truly understand like your own goals, your partner's own goals, in a relationship, their own goals, and how can you guys continue to communicate on that and help each other drive to that. So maybe you tie both those pieces together, everything that you said, and then understanding, someone's true why and their true goals. It's a beautiful thing, but it's never easy. But the more you do it, obviously, the easier it gets.
Yeah, and it's fulfilling.
Love it. Good job.
I love it, and it's more workable. Putting that little bit of time to really get clear, you have such a much more fulfilling relationship. Yeah. Thank you.
Awesome. Last question. Who's it going to be? All right.
I don't know.
Correct?
Yeah, can you hear me?
Yep.
Oh, okay, great. Yeah, I think all this information is really great, and I want to increase my communication skills and with my family and stuff. But I went through the same process of I actually would talk to my wife about certain things and be like, hey, I want to do this, I want to do that. Then when I would find a property, like she kind of talked me out of not doing it. You know what I mean? And it kind of brought a wedge in our relationship. So, on her side, it's not like communication. It's like she'll try to ignore me, instead of like listening to my goals and dreams. But I'm the person that's there that's trying to encourage her to go get hers and do what she needs to do and whatnot. But, communication on my side has been good, but on her side, it's kind of like horrible. And so, it's kind of weird when somebody's not trying as hard as you are. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
You know
Yeah,
what I mean?
I do.
I'm not a person that does not know how to express themselves, but I'm in a relationship that they won't let me express myself, and even in a positive manner. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I would be curious, have you expressed that? What you just shared here, have you expressed that to her? Like, this is how I feel.
Oh, yes. And it's like denied, that's the way you feel. And it's almost like abuse. You understand? Kind of like abusive. It's like, hey, that's the way you feel. And we're not going to never address your issues. You know what I mean? So it's just like, and then you start, feeling like you're crazy. I've been with my wife for like 20 years and whatnot. And I think we're at the week of closing it out. You know what I mean? I don't know. It's a shame that, I can't make it do right or make it get any better. You know what I mean? Like on her side, she has to control everything. She has to control this. She has to control that. She got to control the money. And even I'm a better person with money than she is. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
But I do want to do some big activities. Like I want to invest and work for my future. And I know I'm getting older, and there's a time where I'm trying to get myself out of working. You know what I mean?
Sure.
So that's what I'm trying to do. But
Yeah.
I love all your information, and I would like to get better as a communicator and listen and whatnot, and not take everything to heart. I would like to
Yeah.
have more information, because every situation could take you into a line of foolishness where you won't be thinking at that time.
Right.
So you're working outside of yourself. You know what I mean?
Thank you. Good share. I'm practicing it, see if it makes any difference. And then sometimes you got to make choices, like you shared.
Yeah, you're right. You're right about that. I appreciate you. And it's like this is basically like God sent to me. I can still go ahead and be a good man and do whatever I need to do. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Don't worry about the other person. You know what I mean?
Thank you, Rick.
No problem. Thank you for listening.
Absolutely.
All right, great.
So that's it. Okay, no more questions here. If you have any other questions, she has her website posted on there. And just remember one thing. I think there's one thing that I want to remind everybody, because what happens a lot of times when we learn tools like this is we end up weaponizing these tools against our partners. Right. So like Liz said, don't drop these tools when an argument or a conflict is happening. You want to do this beforehand. You guys are in a good place. Like, hey, listen, this is some tool that I learned, and maybe we can implement it and see how our communication goes by using some of these things. And I wouldn't just drop all 7 at the same time, maybe one at a time, because you have to start practicing it. I always say that, like, things that we learn, it's a one-way street. You learn it, you do it, and you lead by example. So be wary about taking these things and dropping it into a relationship right away. Just like Liz said, don't go in with this manic energy. We're going to go bring it down. Like, I'm about to go and drop this on my wife, but I'm going to bring it down first and be like, maybe you should watch this recording that Liz showed.
Don't should on her. Maybe we could watch this recording together.
Okay. Oh my God, right.
Because I learned something.
Because I learned something, you could take
maybe we could together. Even
better. So look, guys, this is gonna be I'm gonna send this recording to everybody. All right, this is gonna be free. You're gonna get a recording. If you register for the mastermind, this recording is going out. I would strongly suggest maybe you could watch this with your partner, okay? Because it's seriously great information here. I know my wife and I are definitely going to rewatch this recording specifically together, because some of the tools in here, if I were to relay this tool right now to my wife, I'd probably butcher half of it, and it probably would work the opposite. So the easiest way is, let's just watch this together. Let's watch Liz deliver this. All right. Or let's call Liz when she finally is not pregnant anymore, and we'll hire her as a coach, or we'll bring her into the company and she can tell everybody, because that's what happens if we don't know these tools and we don't use it in our daily lives. If we try to take this concept, right? This is one of the big problems, is we take concept and then try to teach the concept. We got to have the experience of it, and then you will teach it from a whole different place. So yeah, thank you so much, Liz, for being here today. And I'm
my honor.
Excited. And I know that you're going to be joining us with my mentorship team. I'm super
tomorrow.
excited. Those people too. So anybody that's there, you guys get ready.
I'll see you tomorrow.
Even deeper dive. So thank you, Liz. Thank you for being here. Appreciate it.
I appreciate you. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye, Liz.
Thank you, Liz. Thank you, Alex.
Okay. So awesome. That was freaking great. Now I do want to say, I always look at results, right? So when we talk about multifamily, we bring some big multifamily in here. Let's go right into the doing this. We get a whole ton of people on this call. And then when we're talking about relationship and communication, all of a sudden people are like, I don't know if I want to learn that. When that is the most important thing. This is what we're talking about here. when I say that I'm committed to relationships in these deals in multifamily, I'm not that committed to making money. I maybe that's maybe like level 5, but I'm really committed to deepening our relationships and seeing like what's possible for us. This tool right here, what Liz talked about, what she taught me for 6 years is what is really important for me. When we go into deals, I'm okay with teaching you guys what goes on in a deal, but our communication, the tools that we have for it, I hope that we are more aligned. We both understand the tool. Like if we go into a deal and I'm like, hey, let's practice some reflective listening, right? We're all using active listening. Like when we're doing that in a deal, there's no doubt it's going to be a success because the relationship is going to be a success. The deal is going to be a success. And when everybody is winning, success takes care of itself. All right. So awesome. Thank you guys all for being here. Nick is going to lead us into 2 breakout